This is one of their mobile kitchens, and they actually...
Is that even some, what I call habitual...
Beautiful Stop and Shop in the Wilton. Penalty, but it was actually a tax, and that it... Absolutely. What's the name of the show? Good evening and welcome once again to the Marty Heiser Show. You know, you live in Fairfield County, and part of the reason, part of the benefit, part of the greatness of living in Ridgefield County is to have neighbors like Joe and Barbara Lane. They live in Ridgefield, Connecticut, 06877. If you want to raise a family, if you want to come to a culturally diverse community, if you want to come to a community that's rich with characters like you're going to meet tonight, Joe and Barbara Lane, that's the place to live. They're involved with an organization called ABC, A Better Chance. They're going to tell us more about the organization. Basically, it's been around for many years. It allows high school age kids, they'll explain more, primarily in underprivileged communities that have shown promise, that have potential. They allow them to come and go to school at a school district like Ridgefield High School. There's a house that they can live in. They have access to all the amenities of living in Ridgefield, hopefully a better chance at education, cultural advantages, and what have you. And the list of alumni, if you just Google it, if you go on Facebook, you can see some of the testimonies of the alumni, people that have gone through the ABC program. They've gone on to go to school at Yale, Harvard, Princeton, and now they're rotating back into some of those underprivileged communities and providing all different types of social programs, really revolutionary programs that are taking some of the old failed policies and rethinking it, re-engineering it, and giving other students a chance. You know, when I watch on the news and I see that in Chicago, they had something like 90 murders in the month of August. When I look around and, you know, especially during this presidential campaign, it seems everybody's headed to that side of the tracks and all these urban centers. And the educational programs and the ability for these kids is pretty much lacking. There's a famous documentary called In Search of Superman, I think it is. Google it. It'll give you a perspective on that. But I want to just thank Joe and Barbara Lane. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. I hope I haven't built you guys up too much. Like, you know, a combination of Gandhi and Nelson Mandela, who you have in your preview.
Yes.
But I have to tell you, I've cyber stalked you a little bit. And the first thing that comes out is this motorcycle with a trailer and a dog and your wife. Where did the motorcycle come from, and how does that fit into everything you're doing?
I've been a motorcyclist since I was a really small person. And Barbara and I like to travel, and we like to travel on a motorcycle. In this particular case, when we moved back from China, we got a Honda Goldwing, and we had this beautiful German Shepherd named Ella. And Ella liked to ride. She loved to ride, and we had our own private trailer in the back.
Yeah.
And we took off and drove from Connecticut to Seattle, Washington.
Oh my gosh.
Over a period of about, I think we were going 20, 25 days, something like that.
Wow, wow.
And we flew back on JetBlue, all three of us. We had a good time.
What did you do with the motorcycle?
We shipped it back.
Oh, shipped it back. All right. So Barbara, you first met Joe. Were you attracted to the bad boy motorcycle thing? I mean, he'd worked in China. What was the basis of this budding romance?
The basis of the budding romance was I was at a singles dance, which is not the most pleasant experience. And somebody had told me, talk to 3 people. If you don't strike up a good rapport with 3 people, then you can go home.
All right.
Joe was the 3rd person I talked to that night.
Wow, very good. 3rd time's a charm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so real quick, just by background, what did I get wrong with the ABC thing, and what are they doing? What's their representation even here in Ridgefield?
Not much. ABC, A Better Chance, has been around since 1963. It started out with a group of headmasters from some of the most elite private schools in New England, and they said, look, this is too many black kids boys, all boys then, just don't have a chance. They're smart, and there's just no way they're going to get a great education, so they started it. And then about, I think 7 or 8 years later, a few communities said, wow, we have great public high schools. And they put together this community school program, and that's what we're interested in, is the community school program. And as you said, what happens is a community gets together, they have to provide housing, they have a resident director, an assistant resident director, a board of directors. And this is a board of directors that doesn't sit around and they don't go to meetings once a month and have coffee. They work like dogs. For example, in Ridgefield, I think they have to raise about $180,000 a year to keep it operational. One of the other places, community schools we're working with is Clinton, New York. That's where Hamilton College, one of the great liberal arts school. And because they have a house on Hamilton's campus, which really saves them a lot, they have to raise, I think, about $110,000 a year. So these directors, they work like dogs, and they love it.
Now, when the children are living in a home in the school district, then they don't have to pay tuition necessarily when they go to the school, right? Because they're a high school age student in the town and they go.
That's correct, yes.
So that's a good thing.
Right.
Absolutely.
That has helped quite a bit. Well, I really appreciate what you're doing. Now, you're also a documentary filmmaker, and we have a little kind of lead into this. I have to push some button. I'm sure I'll be told if I'm pushing the right one, and hopefully this will work. But the name of the movie is Minds That Matter. Where did you come up with that name?
That's actually Barbara's.
Barbara, go ahead.
Okay. What's important about these kids? What are we trying to bring to our society that we've been missing? Is their intelligence and their ability, their minds. It isn't minds over matter, it's minds that matter.
Okay. Do we have this, Victor? Because I can start it on here if you want. Okay, they're gonna hopefully get it queued up.
That's it?
Yeah, we just have to shoot it. But now you do have a background in film and TV as well. You had a sports show of, in all places, China. Well, let's watch the kind of the trailer for it. Sorry about that. Everyone bear with me. Talk amongst yourselves as we continue. I'll try one more time. Okay, from the top.
Can we risk letting these brilliant young minds sit idle, unchallenged? Alan Turing said, sometimes it is the people no one can imagine anything of who do the things no one can imagine. The people of A Better Chance have been doing just that for more than half a century. Too few know of these amazing people and the 5 decades of successes they've created. It's time that changed. It's time ABC community school chapters are spread across our nation. You can be the bridge that gets this story in front of the people who can make that happen.
Wow, so that's like the trailer.
Sort of.
Okay.
Sort of, yes.
Now, what does it? Is this your first venture into a documentary film?
We had started one, and this came up, and it was so much more interesting that we put it on hold, the first one on hold. And we have one we're working on. My daughter lives in Africa, in Burkina Faso.
Yeah.
And it's one of the poorest, I think it's the second or third poorest country in the world.
I'm familiar with Burkina
Okay.
Faso. Yeah, my wife was over there. For
Oh,
a while.
really?
She really was.
Okay.
Yeah, with some missionaries from Canada.
Okay.
Believe it or not, yeah.
Well, there's a practice in the basically, it's a country with 2 cities, and everybody else lives in a village of some kind.
Very rural.
Very rural.
Yeah.
And something goes wrong in the village. The chief, who is always a man, picks an old woman, accuses her of witchcraft, and bans her from life, from her family, the community, everything. And they go to the capital city, Wagga, and they live in the witches' shelter.
Is that right?
And that's the 3rd documentary we're working on.
Wow. Have you seen the one where they actually accuse a small child of being possessed by the devil? It's like the devil child, and they're ostracized and just left to almost die.
Well, no, I haven't.
Bad. But that's all right. So you started a documentary film on that as well?
Yes.
You kind of started it, but it didn't.
Well, it's a long, long path to gain the trust of the nuns who run the shelter, and then the women who live there, because they're very frightened. Yeah. And so we're working on that.
Wow. Now, when you lived in China, you were both together in China, and did that sort of educate or affect your views on ABC House and what you wanted your life to be all about? What are your thoughts on that, Barbara?
I always was interested in education, and in addition to the businesses we ran, I taught English in China.
Okay.
And I saw how those students were educated, and that's a very competitive system also. And then when we came back, because I grew up in Fairfield County, so I know that there are really good schools in Fairfield County and some really tough ones.
Yeah.
And so it
like
was something
Bassick High School in Bridgeport.
We always cared about.
Well, let me get. I mean, if you've looked into this, what do you think philosophically? What are we doing wrong? Is it parental involvement? Is it a nuclear family? Is it a dependent society? What is it that there's such a discrepancy?
There are a lot of things going on, I think. A lot of it is historical discrimination. Some of it is the change in the economy. There was a time when Bridgeport wasn't a poor city.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And we haven't adapted to how things have changed, and that's a big part of it also.
Are you familiar with that documentary, In Search of Superman?
Yes.
To me, it was fascinating when I was looking up this video. I just have, I don't know, Victor, if we can get this one too. Hold on one second. This our very high tech system here. It tends to work out in the end, but this is just it's just a 2-minute clip, and it's about searching for Superman. And this is a documentary film that was featured in the Sundance Film Festival and what have you. It's pretty interesting. See what I want to get your reaction to it.
To go to, but I know I want to be a teacher. I want to be a nurse. I want to be a doctor.
How come?
Because I would like to help somebody in need.
You wake up every morning and you know that kids are getting a really crappy education right now.
So you think that most of the kids here are getting a crappy education right now?
Oh, I don't think they are. I know they are.
Either the kids are getting stupider every year, or something is wrong in the education system.
I just try to do my best in school and make my grandmother proud.
Among 30 developed countries, we rank 25th in math and 21st in science. In almost every category, we've fallen behind, except one. Kids from the USA rank #1 in confidence.
I think about 60,000 people have gone to this school in 40 years. 40,000 didn't graduate. This is the damage that this school has done to this neighborhood.
A child that doesn't finish high school will earn less and be 8 times more likely to go to prison.
I want to go to school.
For these kids, their only chance at getting into a great school depends on whether their number is picked in a lottery.
So if Francisco doesn't get in, is there another chance?
No.
Your children and future generations are on the bridge of the Titanic, and everybody's going to drown.
Someone has taken an interest in you, someone loves you, and they recognize the importance of education. And the first student selected, 20.
9.
It takes a lot of outrage and a lot of good examples
To say, yes, we can do this.
When you see a great teacher, you are seeing a work of art.
I want my kids to have better than what I had.
18, 10, 12, 2, and the last number.
Just from a documentary film, and I love documentary films. I love movies, but I love documentary films. But that film really captures what I think you're talking about with ABC and how you're trying to give these inner city kids a better chance. Now in that film, the premise is charter schools or these private schools that have these really high energy teachers and involved teachers and concerned parents. That seems to be the magic formula. ABC seems to have a different formula where they will actually take the brightest and have them come out and just immerse them in a high level suburban school. I don't know, it's like attack on all fronts. Is that the approach?
That's it. The kids come in there. We've interviewed already a lot of people involved with ABC. We've been working on this for about a year.
Okay.
And we got about a year and a half to go.
Now, are you on the board as well?
No.
Okay. Well, we got to give a shout out to who's the lady, Ann Stockel?
Allison Stockel.
Allison Stockel. Okay.
Yes.
She does everything for everyone.
She does.
She does.
But the kids come in, and when they're done, we've interviewed a lot of people who've graduated.
Right.
Sometimes 10 years ago, sometimes 30 years ago.
Yeah.
These people are smart. I mean, they are really smart.
Yeah.
One fella, Theory Thompson, who graduated from the Radnor High School ABC program.
Yeah.
He's adjunct professor now at the Bronx Community College. He also runs a program called LifeLink, which in Bronx, they take kids who've never thought about college at all, and they get them interested in a 2-year college, and they prepare them, they tutor them, they help them. Then when they get into college, they help them for those 2 years and encourage them to consider 2 more years. Yeah. So that's the kind of thing ABC graduates do.
And you were filming them, and there was one poster where it said like what I got out of my college or whatever, and they were going up and they were signing it. There was T-shirts involved. There was a lot of reinforcement, catching them doing stuff right. Yeah.
And the story started out pretty simple. We thought when we heard about, a presentation was given about the ABC house, and we thought, wow, what a great story. And that's what we originally thought. But then as we started digging into it, oh no, this is a huge story. This is potentially, there's this partnership that is developed between ABC community schools and public high schools. And this partnership...
And, I don't mean to say, but these really high-end private universities that are dying for minority students that can make the grade.
That's true.
Okay.
But this partnership produces something that is really unique in the world. You may or may not know, but Nelson Mandela's father died when he was young. And his uncle was the chieftain in the Xhosa tribe and had enough pull to get Nelson in the schools run by the whites. And Nelson was educated not exclusively, but almost exclusively by the whites. And if you listen to Nelson's speeches, if you watch the crowds, it's just Africans, but often it's Afrikaners and Africans.
Right.
And what Nelson had, which is rare in our history, he could speak to both tribes at the same time, and they could both understand him. They might not agree, but they could understand.
Yeah.
And these kids coming out of the public school programs from ABC, they have that. Yeah. There's a young woman who graduated several years ago, Fulvia Vargas, from the Ridgefield ABC school. She got herself in Lehigh University, graduated, got herself in Syracuse Law School, graduated, moved to Binghamton, New York, and now practices public interest law in Binghamton.
Wow.
I will not be the least bit surprised if even in my lifetime I read, oh, she's been appointed to the state Supreme Court or maybe the U.S. Supreme Court.
Wow.
This woman, she has that. She has that ability.
Yeah.
And so the story expanded and it got deeper. We were invited to go look at 7th and 8th graders who are trying to get into ABC.
Yeah.
And that's a fascinating story.
That can be a bit of a heartbreak, right?
Well, it can be, but the kids who, they find something, the kids who are smart enough, the people who identify and help develop them, they find something for them. If not ABC, then something else.
Okay.
Maybe not as good, but something.
Okay.
And so this story, it just kept branching out, and it got much more complex than we ever imagined. And so instead of being...
So you've already shot and shot and shot, and you got reams and reams of video.
And we have reams and reams to go.
Okay. Okay.
So we ended up, it kept expanding, and it's still sort of expanding.
Yeah.
And we're working, again, with the 3 chapters, Ridgefield, Radnor, Pennsylvania, and Clinton, New York.
Wow.
And so the film has taken on a much bigger scope.
Yeah.
And because of that, we have decided, we're having this affair, if you will, kind of a peek into the filmmaking.
Yeah,
on
September 28th.
It's September 28th at the
Ridgefield Playhouse.
At the Ridgefield Playhouse.
Okay.
And it's kind of, join us, you'll get a peek at what we've been doing. We'll also, we are launching a crowdfunding campaign to try to help us a little bit. Barb and I put in about, between the two of us, about 1,500 hours and about $150,000 of our own money.
Wow.
And
that's a lot of motorcycles.
Yes.
You look like it took your breath away there for a minute.
And so what we're trying...
Retirement? What retirement? We're going to be making films. So,
so we want some, we're trying to get some people to join us to help us finish the film and then get it out.
All right.
So it's...
so if people want to know more about you, can they Google Minds That Matter?
We have a Facebook page, Minds That Matter.
Minds That Matter Facebook page, so they can go in on that.
Yeah. And then we have I have a Facebook page which is really dedicated to this, just Joseph Lane, the one that lives in Ridgefield.
Right, I went on that one, yeah.
Okay.
They had the motorcycle and the dog.
There we go.
Yeah.
Me and
it has a lot of these
dog.
clips. It has, also had the clips of the other young man you were just talking about. Yeah.
And then we have a website. It's kind of a minimalist website, but it's called JTFM Productions with an S.com, which is the name of our company, JTFM.
All right, so if there's more interest, you can, on September 28th at the Playhouse.
7:30.
Please come out. Barbara, I want to give you the last word. Is he just dragging you along on this Steven Spielberg wannabe escapade on the motorcycle and stuff, or is this where your heart's at as well?
Well, education is always where my heart's at. I came running in at the last minute because I teach English to immigrant adults at the LVA school downtown. So I always care about education. And to something that you were saying before, the ABC program doesn't fix the system, as that Searching for Superman thing said.
Yeah.
But it develops the people that can fix the system, that will have the insight and the power and the authority as they go through to figure out how to fix it.
Wow. I heard a parable. I'm going to get a little, mystery. I heard a parable. So there was an old man and his young son, and they lived on some Pacific island somewhere, and there had been this big typhoon that had come in. And the typhoon had washed up hundreds and hundreds of thousands of starfish. And then the typhoon left, and all the starfish were like drying out and dying on the beach. But there was millions of these starfish everywhere. And the old man and his son were walking down the beach, and the little boy would go and he would take a starfish, grandson, I guess, take a starfish and throw it back in. And the grandfather said, "Why are you doing that? You can't make any difference. There's just millions and millions of these starfish, just drying out, dying in the sun." He goes, "You can't make any difference." And he picked up another starfish and threw it back in the water. And he said, "Well, I made a difference in that starfish's life." And sometimes when I think of ABC and I think of the daunting complexities and just the massiveness, the multi-generations of single-family homes, dependencies, drug addiction, gang involvement, no male role model in the family, I could go on. And you see all these kids coming up, and they just need a better chance, and they are minds that matter.
They are.
I commend what you're doing. One starfish at a time.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Don't mean to take up all the oxygen in the room.
Thank you.
But thanks a lot. Appreciate it. And come back when the film is ready, because we want to watch the whole thing.
Will do.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks so much. Next up, we have, you cannot believe, we're going from a very erudite, educated, wonderful group of people, and the next group we have in are 50-50. We have a guy that you will see who is in an outfit that looks somewhat like a certain political figure. I'll let you decide who it is. And we also have Dr. Levine, probably one of the most well-known cardiologists, the best cardiologist, certainly in the Northeast and probably nationwide. And then at the tail end, we're also going to have Alex Karsandi, who's going to be coming in talking about some issues that are heavy on his heart. But before I do that, I want to play for you this little video that captures, I think, the mood, because we're switching gears here. We're going to something a little bit more political. And there's this young lady that has a website, and I'd like to play this for you. Victor, if we could get this up and ready. And this, I think, might help set the tone for what we're going to be talking about just in a little bit. This lady has a website, and she has something called The Final Thought. And if we have it queued up, we'll capture what she has to say. She's rather passionate, and I think you'll appreciate it. I don't know if we have that, but we'll go with our high-tech system and see if we can do that. I'm sorry, I apologize about, we try to be a little bit more erudite.
Where'd you learn that word?
I'm overusing it. This is good, though.
She thinks of tens of millions of hardworking Americans. She thinks we are a basket of deplorables.
To just be grossly generalistic, you could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. Right? The racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it. And unfortunately, there are people like that. And he has lifted them up.
So to paraphrase Ms. Clinton, if you're not supporting her, the liar, you are either in a basket of deplorables or losers and idiots that need to be saved by her lying ass. Really? I don't think so, Hillary. But at least the truth finally came out. It's bad enough you've been hiding from the media and the people for the last 6 months. It's bad enough you have called the families of fallen Benghazi warriors liars while lying to their faces. It's bad enough that you compromised national security so you could hide your crookedness on a private server. It's bad enough you and your apologists have been lying about your health. It's bad enough you've lied to the American people on countless occasions. It's bad enough that you waltz around in $12,000 Armani jackets and wine and dine with big donors, all while telling the common folk you know their struggle. But now you have the audacity to call Trump supporters racist, sexist, xenophobic, homophobic, and Islamophobic, while you and your foundation donors and those funding your lifestyle literally stone women and throw gays off buildings? That's some pretty rich stuff coming from you, Hillary, so let me correct you. It's not racist to believe in accountability, reject victimhood, and speak out against the antics of the Black Lives Matter More movement and support our police officers. It's not sexist to deny the presidency to a woman because that woman is a crooked sack of lies. It's not xenophobic to put Americans first in our own damn country and believe in a secure border and respect for rule of law. And listen here, Ms. Clinton, it's not Islamophobic to call our enemies what they are, radical Muslims. I think you've got it twisted, but make no mistake, this basket of deplorable Americans will make our presence known in November. We will fill our baskets with guns, God, glory, faith, family, and freedom. Don't you worry. But Hillary, one last thing. What's in your basket? Lies. You're not fit to lead the tens of millions of Americans you call deplorable. It just so happens we won't be giving you the chance to try. A shout out to all the deplorables I met in San Diego this weekend. God bless America from Dallas. Good night and take care.
All right, well, there's one American that has something to say. I don't know if we can get a shot of this. I just picked that up. I think it pretty much captures it. Why can't you people understand the medical problems I don't have are the reason I can't remember the criminal acts I didn't commit? I don't know, that seems to be covering everything. All right, we are joined, and I just have to say, Doctor, I appreciate you're allowing yourself to digress into this kind of group, because you are a standalone,
dignified.
Dignified.
Thank you.
I have. This is all.
He's one of the smartest guys I ever met.
I know, and you're sitting next to a
me.
man.
That's hard for me to say. You know that.
Who's trying to do a Donald Trump impression, and then Alex Karsandi. So you have Alex Karsandi, Dave. No, you're fine. You're actually good.
Can I just tell you some of the problems? One of the problems we have.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm really tired.
Basket.
Really tired about people picking on my baskets. Do you think these are deplorable baskets? No, they're not. I'm just telling you. You know what the other problem is? You buy a wig to look like me,
yeah.
It's made in China. It's no good. It's going to be made here from now on. Just telling you.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, but first I want to talk to you a little bit, Dr. Levine. All kidding aside, you're a famous cardiologist. You've had a chance to see what everyone is talking about, including your good friend Dr. Oz. It's a unique nexus, because you've had not the greatest things to say about Dr. Oz necessarily in his take a pill, you'll be thin, or wipe this cream on you and you'll be more masculine.
I have as great enjoyment of taking care of patients as Dr. Oz has enjoying his fame and money.
Okay. Well, what is going on? What are your thoughts on what we're seeing with these candidates, primarily Hillary Clinton?
I think we have a lot of information now. A few weeks ago, my friend Robert Davi, who does a talk show, he's an actor, asked me to comment on his talk show about Hillary Clinton's cough, and I said, no, I'm not going to. A lot of people cough. People cough from reflux esophagitis. Your cameraman is coughing over there from an allergy.
He's allergic to me.
People cough from postnasal drip. Some people, when they're anxious or they lie, cough.
Okay.
That could make Hillary cough, right?
Sure.
But then things began to add up, especially after this witnessed episode of what we call syncope, fainting, where she collapsed.
That did not look good.
That didn't look good. And then more things begin to add up. If they're very smart. The best liars don't lie 100% of the time. They gave us some truth, okay? Her doctor in July of 2015 mentions that she's had 3 episodes of clots in her leg, 3 DVTs over the course since, I think, 1999.
Right.
And as you know, she had a clot in her brain, in her cerebral vein.
Yeah, didn't they put some sort of a vent in there after that?
She got anticoagulation. She had it drained.
A drain, okay.
Okay. That means she's had these clots, though, probably already on Coumadin. She's had recurrent events on Coumadin, okay? Now, they've done a huge workup. They mentioned she does not have what's called a hypercoagulable state.
Okay.
In other words, they don't know why she has all these clots, but she's on Coumadin. Now, one of the reasons might be because she's in and out of a plane. People that go on planes get clots.
Yeah.
But she's on the Coumadin. Now, let me add to that. What I think what's happened here is that Hillary has had recurrent, multiple pulmonary emboli. They're not giving us that information. Marty, what happens is you get a clot in your leg, and that clot propagates up from, this is why this is dangerous. It comes up from the leg and boom, into the lung. You get a pulmonary embolism. Not everyone collapses and dies when they have a pulmonary embolism. Many of these patients present in a very insidious manner. And let me explain how they can present. They can present with progressive shortness of breath. They can present with syncope or near syncope. If they develop something called chronic thromboembolic pulmonary hypertension, which I suspect she may have, they get hoarse.
Check.
They cough.
Check.
They have dyspnea or shortness of breath going up to a podium, which we just heard. Check, check, check.
Yeah.
She's had recurrent DVTs. She has every symptom of pulmonary hypertension. If you look at the doctor's note, she has a normal EKG. She had to have an echo. She had to have a lung scan. They're smart. They're great liars. They don't mention that. Why? Because once you've had even one pulmonary embolism, Marty, if they've looked at this, so they've taken 1,000 patients who had pulmonary emboli and survived that pulmonary emboli. The mortality rate in 5 years, 32%.
Oh, wow.
32%, because they have more pulmonary emboli. They have strokes. They have covert malignancies that eventually show themselves. I think she has chronic pulmonary emboli, and that's causing the hoarseness. Because when the pulmonary artery enlarges, it impinges on what's called the recurrent laryngeal nerve, classically causes hoarseness. Wow. Don't you remember she had that hoarseness?
Yeah.
Don't you remember she coughs?
Wait, would that also manifest itself in that stumbling, literally just her legs falling out from...
That's stumbling. Here's the problem. You got a lot of quacks out there. Maybe I'm a quack.
You're not a quack.
The guy on Fox is a urologist.
He's the guy with the
what do these people know? They go and it's a neuro... I believe in a theory called Occam's razor.
Okay.
The simplest answer, the one that makes sense, is usually the correct one. Not always.
Okay.
When you become hypotensive, which was what happens, your blood pressure falls when you have these recurrent pulmonary emboli because the right chamber of the heart can't pump enough blood.
Okay.
You stand up, your blood pressure falls, you can have a seizure, you can collapse.
And that's what she's collapsing.
This is exactly what's going on.
On a number of different occasions.
And they admit that she's had clots in her legs.
And even Bill Clinton, it was almost like a subconscious thing he said, and CNN edited it out. But she said, well, she's fainted regularly, and they edited that out. The media is so much in the tank.
The unifying diagnosis, the one that makes sense, is usually the right one. Recurrent DVTs, recurrent pulmonary emboli, pulmonary hypertension, hoarseness, shortness of breath, falling down. She can't get up the podium. She's short of breath. Terrible prognosis. She wouldn't make it through the 4 years.
I wouldn't say terrible. I mean, terrible for her, maybe good for us. I don't know.
Maybe not so good. Maybe the guy in the undercard's better.
But what? Yeah. Now you're a political being as well. How do you think this manifests itself in this campaign? I want to get your input too as well.
I'll tell you where I learned about Occam's razor. Did you watch Contact with Jodie Foster? That was in there. Occam's razor. Yeah. I adhere to that. I mean, everything that's been coming out has been lies. Okay, I know it's hard to take me seriously at the moment.
No, it's fine. I'm just getting over that thing.
But the one I loved the most was she walks out of two things. One, the second she has this, she gets rushed where? Not to the hospital to see a guy that really knows what he's talking about.
Right.
No,
yeah.
Chelsea Clinton, where they probably have a whole hospital set up there in anticipation as to nobody really gets the full record.
Right.
And number two, the person that walked out of the building, I don't know, glasses on, really didn't look very similar to the Hillary that went in. I'm just saying.
Okay, so you're saying that there was a body double that went in there?
I don't think so, but that's what all the conspiracy theorists are talking about.
There are all these conspiracy theorists, and some of them, the conspiracy theorists have said that Hillary Clinton actually took one of her BlackBerries and hammered it with a hammer to destroy it, or in an attempt to destroy it. Her aides did. And I just love seeing the liberal media and the mainstream media that is so in the tank for Hillary Clinton. When this comes up, they're just crestfallen. They can't believe it. They want to fact check it. If we can get a shot of this, Victor, let's see if we can pick this up. I'm going to do it with the... Bear with me. Bear with us. Talk amongst yourselves. Hold on 1 second.
Smoke it if you got it.
Yeah, smoke it if you got
Colin
it.
Powell's comments were pretty profound, right? On those
A new FBI release of documents from Hillary's investigation left CNN's panel stunned.
Unlike 17,500 emails that she lied about turning over. The server wiped. Within weeks of there being a report that she had a private server, it was wiped. She thought that C, which stands for classified, stood for cookie or something, which stands for classified. She thought that drone strikes are not classified. She said that the reason she used the private server is for convenience, is that she only had one device. She used 13 BlackBerries, let me finish, and 5 iPads. This is somebody who is absolutely disqualified from becoming president. They destroyed BlackBerries with hammers in the State Department. That's not what won the presidency.
Actually, Evan, hold on. You fact check that. Hang on, Evan Perez. Hammers, fact check that for me, please, on the fly.
Yes, they did, Brooke. As you mentioned, there were 13 devices, mobile devices, and 5 iPads that the FBI said that, in some way were used with her private email server, and they did, in some cases, just destroy them with hammers when they were done using them.
Yeah, when the mainstream media, when it actually comes out, what we're dealing with, it's just so crestfallen. Wait, we need to find, wait, hammers? Yes, they did actually use hammers. What are your thoughts, Alex?
Well, nobody wants to wish anyone ill, but I think it's becoming clear that Hillary does have some health issues, which are becoming recognized by the general population. Something that they maybe overlooked, ignored, hope for the best kind of thing. But it's becoming evident that there are some serious problems there that could or should be actually considered for a potential candidate to be the leader of our country. You want to make sure that they're going to last 4 years.
Yeah, but all you really need to do is play golf, right? So as long as she can play golf every day, she's qualified, I think.
I don't think she plays golf anyway.
I don't think she's playing golf. What do you think? I mean, from a medical perspective, and then morph that into how they haven't exactly been transparent on the medical issues, which some people think is the worst problem here.
They're very calculating. We know that. You can't trust a word they say. They told us that she had recurrent DVTs, deep vein thromboses. That leads to pulmonary emboli. One thing I forgot to mention, when you get chronic pulmonary emboli, you get abnormal chest x-rays. You get findings that look like pneumonia. Okay, you don't get an elevated white count. I'm saying, and I've gone on forums and spoken to people, because it's not that common of a condition, this chronic thromboembolic pulmonary hypertension. You know what they say? That sounds like me. I had the same thing. My doctor didn't know. I started getting hoarse. I started coughing, and then I got lightheaded, and I couldn't walk far. And they missed. I had pulmonary emboli, and those people didn't even have a history or known DVTs. You don't get a pulmonary emboli without a DVT, without a deep vein thrombosis.
Oh, deep vein. Okay, thank you.
You need a thrombus in the leg, and it goes to the lung. They admit she's had 3 of those. Wow. They admit she's on Coumadin.
If you remember, there was one journalist named David Bloom. You remember him on NBC?
I brought that up recently as well. Okay. Right, poor David Bloom was riding in a tank.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with him, and he died from a pulmonary emboli.
Yeah.
She goes on planes. Planes are a significant risk for pulmonary emboli. But what really troubles me, Marty...
Don't they have her on blood thinners to kind of...
They have her on Coumadin. Not many people
That's a rat
fail
poison.
Coumadin.
Yeah, it's rat poison.
Warfarin, right. Wisconsin Alumni Research Foundation for WARF.
You're talking to a man with a golden wig on his head.
Well, I'm right.
He's right. It was developed as...
Do you concur, Doctor? I concur.
Developed
You're
as
concurring
rat
with a man
poisoning.
with a
It caused rats to bleed to death, and then we said, hey, we could try these on humans. Let's figure out the dose. But the other thing, Marty, she's not on any of the...
I'm just going to leave the rat analogy.
She's not on
right
any
there.
of the newer blood thinners. You know the newer ones, the Xareltos, the Apixabans?
I would be lying if I said I did, but to sound smart, I'm going to go, of course I know the newer.
People with DVTs...
Yes, doctor, I concur.
Today, they get the newer drugs.
Right.
It's easier to take. But in patients who have chronic thromboembolic pulmonary hypertension, there's not enough data. They leave those patients on Coumadin. She's on Coumadin. Wow. She's on Coumadin. She's got lung infiltrate. She's got documented DVTs. She gets hoarse. She faints. Hello.
Now, once you're on Coumadin, though, I mean, that helps to prevent pulmonary embolisms, right?
Right, but it seems that she was on it and had recurrent emboli.
So
that's dangerous. Bad.
Well, so we have a basis of a diagnosis medically. Now let's switch gears just into raw politics. What does this mean? Let me lay the foundation here a little bit. First, Mahatma Gandhi, supposedly, some arbitrary said this, said, first they ignore you, then they ridicule you, then they fight you, and then you win. That's attributed to Gandhi having said that. Apply that to the Trump campaign. Let me give you the latest. After Hillary Clinton said that all of us are in a bucket of deplorables, and after she had the falling thing at the 911 thing, here where we're at. Florida, key state. You're not going anywhere without Florida. Trump up 4. Colorado, you want some of this? Colorado, it's medical. I got to know from my doctor. Colorado, Trump up 4.
That looks pretty natural.
Georgia,
Marty's had a lot of practice.
I went to a lot of Alice Cooper concerts in the 70s. Colorado, we already did that. See, I already forgot. Anyone want to read it?
It's bad for everybody, Marty.
Okay.
The Libertarians will do
Georgia, I mean, it was a joke to think that Hillary was ever going to win Georgia. Trump's up 6. Missouri up 13. Arkansas up 28. Come on, who saw that coming? Ohio up 3. Florida, I already said that. Florida actually is up 5, and Iowa up 8. States like New Hampshire, Maine are all in play. Wisconsin, Michigan, watch it. And this guy, Trump, He's an animal. I mean, he's down in Louisiana. He's shaking hands with the Mexican president. He's giving a rally in Arizona. He's up in Michigan. He was on Dr. Oz's show, your buddy. Now he's giving a speech in New York about the economy. Now he's off somewhere else. I can't keep up with the guy. It's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, he was scheduled to take the weekend off, and all of a sudden he's filling in with another event in Pennsylvania. So
you can just see him at 1:30 in the morning. God dang, Colin Powell. Yeah, I'll tell you, pal. Yeah. I'm an embarrassment. I got your embarrassment right here, Colin. Yeah, you with the UN with your massive.
I'll give you a Colin.
I'll give you a Colin. You can just see. He can't help himself. Colin Powell, I got you right here.
Well, I'm not a big fan of polls, but the national polls do speak, and right now it's very neck and neck, and depending on whose national poll you believe, Trump is ahead by a couple of points, and if you have, Hillary a couple of points, but you have that margin of error, and he's on an upswing. So give it another couple of weeks. Hopefully he will pull ahead much further.
And then can you imagine this first debate? I mean, this first debate is going to be absolutely destination television for the entire planet.
The hottest ticket it's more.
It's going to be Hofstra University right here on Long Island.
Yeah, but you won't get within probably 2 miles of the place.
I mean, it's like a golf tournament. You want to watch it on TV.
It's a hotter ticket than a Super Bowl game. I mean, if you can possibly buy a student ticket and maybe sneak, under the radar screen with a student admission, possibly, but it's literally impossible.
No one's going to believe you're a sophomore in college. That ship is
my
sailed.
hair is gone, so yeah, I'm sorry.
All right, but what do you think? I mean, you're the chairman of the Republican Town Committee in Ridgefield, Connecticut. You have a blue blazer, and you have some kind of pin on your lapel. That makes you qualified to pontificate about political predictions. What do you see happening?
I see Trump improving as he goes further and, fine-tunes his message. He's coming out with the right types of message. He just, brought out his plan for, child care, for women's rights. His economic plan is something that is right on message. He's working very closely with his economic advisors.
Larry Kudlow, been on the show on a number of occasions.
Stephen Moore.
Weston's own, or Reading. I think he lives in Reading.
Reading, thank you.
He lives in Reading.
One famous person that lives there.
Yeah.
He's a weekend resident in Reading.
Oh, come on, don't steal our thunder.
I know, but still, Larry has really done a lot to contribute to his economic plan. All in all, I think he's finally, the whole act is starting to come together. It's becoming more fine-tuned. The people are listening to it now rather than, sort of criticizing it and ignoring it as, 6 months ago was happening. Yeah. The distraction of having debates with 16 other people is behind us, so now it's just one-on-one.
Yeah.
And I think his message is finally starting to take hold and people are listening.
All right. Dave, what subtle nuance of this are we missing besides the obvious body double that they rolled out walking into that van before he gave?
Well, actually, I had just a question for Dr. Levine. So what do you think, when she's about to go into the van, does she pass out? Does she have a mini stroke? What happens there?
What did happen there?
And let me ask this is a two-part question.
Sure.
Now, she went, and whatever happened there, she had to know something was going bad for her, because it probably took 5 minutes for her to finally make the decision, okay, we got to get out of here. Mm-hmm. And people around her could tell, here we go again, and they immediately go to support her, and the one woman's checking her pulse on her hand. So whatever she had, she got warning of coming. So what would that be a classic symptom of?
For me, again, it's a low blood pressure phenomenon. And if your blood pressure goes low enough, you can have a seizure or you could collapse. If she cared about her health, or they cared about her health, they should have put her right on the ground, lie her down. Mm-hmm. Then the pressure doesn't have to go up to the head. But they were afraid of the image. Yeah. You see, they
propped her up on the post.
Propped her up,
yeah.
And then as she went in,
she
became hypotensive and she collapsed. And this happens quite often. And again, pulmonary hypertension causes that.
Get her on the ground.
Was that from a medical perspective, would it have been much better to take her to a hospital, to an emergency room in that state?
I'm not there, I don't know. Okay. It may be so often and such a frequent occurrence, and they know why it occurs, and if it's from this pulmonary hypertension, you lie her flat, and you get better.
What's the other thing? You know, I've seen these pictures of one of her handlers has this injection thing.
Who knows what that is? I don't know. Is that for real?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's for real.
Pictures, who knows?
I don't know.
But what
you see, her bodyguard is closer to her now more than he's ever been.
I mean, wild guesses. I mean, I don't know. Could be a subcutaneous heparin, a blood thinner. It's a wild guess.
Okay.
I don't know.
Could even be adrenaline.
But what else you got for us, Dave?
Yeah, well, I'm all over left field, and like I said, particularly Dr. Levine. I mean, when he takes the time to come up here, he's this genius, and I want like this free health exam, you know, when he's on the show, because I got a bad ticker and I want some advice.
It hurts when I go like this.
I just don't want to see anyone bending over.
So if someone's thinks they're having a heart attack, does it help them to take aspirin?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, take aspirin on the spot.
Right, absolutely.
Help things out.
Diminishes cardiovascular mortality by about 25%.
Yes, that's big. I'm going to start carrying aspirin.
But not to take it all the time when you're having a heart attack. Correct.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, so shifting gears for a second here, I don't know if you guys noticed that things aren't necessarily doing real well in Venezuela these days.
No.
So you've got a dozen eggs now, up to $150 for a dozen eggs. It's a pretty good deal, right? And you look at what happened in Detroit, right? So everywhere where socialism goes, total disaster and economic collapse fails. And I always tell people that the Democrats are hell-bent on doing for America what they did for Detroit. They are bringing disaster. Of course, the Republicans are doing their fair share to help the situation, right? It's pretty, it's very disappointing what they've been doing too. But what I love about this election campaign more than anything is that it's an election against the incumbent class. You know, get rid of the ruling elite. Mm-hmm. You know, flush the toilet, start from scratch. We just want all the incumbents out
there. There does seem to be, it isn't so much a right-left or a Republican-Democrat, but it's more an insider versus the outsider.
Well, and
that's why when Hillary Clinton says, oh, you know, and by the way, when she was giving that speech, she looked like she was loopy on something. You know, she looks like she was just standing up there at the podium, barely.
She had to get up to the podium. It's not easy for her to get up to the podium. She has to stand up for a long time.
Yeah.
Let me just say one more thing. I get into trouble for this. Remember that time she had that extended bathroom break?
Yes.
Where was she? Maybe she was hypotensive. Where was she off camera?
Lying down?
Maybe she was lying down.
But anyway, but she gets up there and she says that half of Trump supporters are homophobic, Islamophobic, sexist, bigoted,
anyway?
And they're a basket of deplorables.
You don't like
I got my baskets right here, buddy.
Yeah, I got your basket right here. But the idea is that she's just attacking Trump supporters, and Trump is playing it so well. I mean, saying, you know, you are attacking Americans. These are the hardworking Americans. These are mothers. These are officers. These are military. These are policemen. These are independent businessmen. It's just great the way he's countering
political events around the globe right now are the gift that keep on giving. For example, Donald Trump for 4, 5, 6 months has been railing against all these corporations leaving America and all good jobs are leaving. So who comes out today and says we're taking off? Ford, we're taking off. You know, Fiat Chrysler, all their production is leaving the U.S. So these things are perfectly timed, and every time there's a little lull in the action, all of a sudden there's another terrorist strike, and some Muslims are out chopping heads off or shooting people.
And now the Congress is investigating 2 of Hillary's IT guys, so they march up to Congress, get sworn in,
just because they don't have security clearance?
I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. That's not even making the papers
the guy
anymore.
Who set up a server didn't even show up.
He didn't even bother to show up.
He didn't even bother to show up, and they haven't done anything.
And then Hillary puts out a book. And they don't. It doesn't even sell.
Is that called Despicable Me? Didn't they make a movie about that?
Yeah. When she puts out a book, it doesn't even sell 3,000 copies, which is like next to
Well, and she can't fill a phone booth when she goes out to make a campaign speech, right? They pan the audience as like, hey, anybody out there? Hello.
It's so funny watching the liberal press. It is just so funny because they're just always caught off guard, you know. And tonight coming here, you know, they say, well, Hillary came to a high school gymnasium. Now they have. Well, 2/3 of the gymnasium course off, but that 1/3 of the high school gymnasium, boy, that was filled, you know. And meanwhile, 1/3 of a high school
Trump's
gymnasium.
lines are around wherever he shows up. Lines around the building.
25,000 in Tampa Bay,
1/3 of the people
Florida.
are turned away.
Yeah, I was at the one at Sacred Heart University.
That's probably where it was packed because you were there, though, Marty.
No, I was.
I was at the one in Hartford, and that was very well attended, very orderly.
Yeah.
The message was there. The people were listening to it. It wasn't until they got outside when you had the protesters, and then that's when the action
Speaking
started.
of which.
Yes.
Speaking of despicable.
Yes.
How many Hillary Clinton supporters interrupt Trump rallies, and how many Trump supporters interrupt the Hillary rallies?
Many Hillary supporters interrupt the Trump rallies. Zero.
Nothing.
Because we're Republicans. We have jobs.
Now,
it's all we can do to get out there.
One guy had the courage at a Hillary rally today to yell, "You suck!" So that came across loud and clear. Yeah, but that's his point. There aren't many people that do that.
Now, Alex, you had something you were talking about.
Just while we're sort of ticking down in time, I just wanted to, announce that the Richfield Republican Town Committee is having our Reagan dinner at Stonehenge Restaurant. And our speaker will be Stephen Moore, Senior Trump Economic Advisor.
There you go.
And he'll do a presentation, and it should be a very interesting evening.
So if anyone, they can go to Ridgefield. Just Google Ridgefield, Connecticut.
No, it's ridgefieldctgop.org. You can,
It's a non-profit situation here, just a political organization. That's important for a nonprofit.
We're a political organization. We've got the event. He'll be doing a book signing for us too, which should be very interesting. It's a Stonehenge restaurant, September 18th, this Sunday. So it should be very interesting. There's still some seats left. The other thing we wanted to mention, our golf outing.
Golf outing, yes. September 5th?
October 5th.
I'm sorry, October 5th. September 5th would
September
be bad.
5th was gone already, Marty.
Yeah, October 5th.
We're doing it in conjunction with the Brookfield RTC at the Richfield Golf Course. Should be a very interesting event, and we're looking to make it into a tradition.
And a lot of the candidates, John Shaban will be out, Dan
Shaban
Carter will be
there,
out. So
Carter.
if you're wondering who all these candidates are, this is a month before the election. You can come out. Each one will be saying a few words, and you can have a beverage.
They'll be there.
with them.
There'll be a dinner after the golf is over with, and the candidates will hopefully be present. Plus, we'll be doing various meets and greets.
So go to the Richfield Republican Town Committee thing. All right, lightning round, final thoughts?
Mexico,
the man with the golden hair.
Mexico is in fact building a wall right now on their southern border, and guess who's paying for it? The U.S. government.
Really?
Yes, $75 million we pitched in.
See, it's kind of like Flint, Michigan. It used to be in Mexico, the water was bad, and they made cars in Flint. Now in Flint, the water's bad, and they make cars in Mexico. Go figure. Doctor, thank you for coming in with this rogues gallery, as it were. Final thoughts, where are we going, and what are your predictions?
Hillary has a very significant medical condition. I think she's going to be forced to tell us more. I think it has to do with pulmonary emboli, possibly these chronic pulmonary emboli. And if that's true, I'm questioning whether or not she has the ability to serve.
Well, there you have it. Well, thanks a lot. Thanks for joining us again on the Marty Heiser Show. Next week, we have Emanuela Palmares, who will be coming in studio. If Representative Bob Godfrey, if you know him, reach out to him saying, we want him on TV to have a televised debate. We do it very well, very fairly. We have the editor of the Danbury News-Times who will come in. So if you see Bob Godfrey, tell him we want him to come on next week for this televised debate with Emanuela Palmares. She, not ducking the media, will be here. Thanks for joining us, and thank you to my guests. We'll see you next week. Good night.